Welcome to the Heartbreak Chronicles, where every story is a raw reflection of life. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned, give us a like to show your support, and share this episode with your friends. Don't forget to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Now, let's dive into today's story. It's a cool fall evening in Boston. Professor William Hudson wearily pushed open the door to his apartment, which was dark. He fumbled to turn on the light and found the living room empty and a note on the dining room table. "I'm going to a book club. Don't wait for me." William sighed, placed his briefcase on the couch, and walked to the kitchen. There were some leftovers in the refrigerator, so he warmed them up and sat down at the table to eat alone. As he chewed, his eyes inadvertently swept over the wedding photos on the wall. In the photo, he and his wife Olivia are smiling and happy. That was 10 years ago, and it feels like a lifetime ago to William. In the last 6 months, Olivia has become more and more aloof. She no longer cares about William's work and rarely communicates with him. Even when William does initiate conversation, he gets only a perfunctory response. Intimacy between them was rare, and William couldn't remember the last time he'd made out with Olivia. At first, William thought it was stress at work that was causing Olivia's depression. He tries to relieve his wife's stress in a variety of ways. He prepares a nice dinner for her, watches her favorite movie with her, and even plans a short trip. However, all these efforts seem to have fallen flat on their faces, and Olivia continued to ignore William's thoughtfulness. William can't help but begin to reflect on whether he's doing something wrong. He thinks back to the past and tries to find out what caused the rift in his marriage. However, no matter how he racked his brain, he could not find a rational explanation. Just as William was lost in thought, the sound of the door lock turning awakened him. Olivia is back, with a thick book in her hand. She was slightly startled to see William sitting at the table, then gave a forced smile. "You're back." William nodded. "What about book club?" Olivia hung her jacket on the hanger, her tone flat. "Not bad." William waited for what was to come. However, Olivia had no intention of continuing. After an awkward silence, William spoke up. "Let's talk. You seem to have something on your mind lately." Olivia avoided William's gaze. "Nothing, probably just tired from work. I'm going to take a shower first." Looking at Olivia's hurriedly departing back, William felt a sense of powerlessness. Communication between them seemed to be getting more and more difficult, as if there was an invisible wall between them that could not be crossed. For the next few days, William decided to stop bothering Olivia for a while and give her some space to be alone. However, as time went on, he noticed that Olivia's behavior was becoming more and more erratic. She often worked late and sometimes stayed out all night. William's attempts to find out why were always met with a perfunctory response of busy at work. One night, William was in his study grading student papers when he overheard Olivia talking on the phone from the balcony. Her voice was light and pleasant, a far cry from the coldness with which she usually spoke to William. William quietly approached and faintly heard Olivia say, "Okay, David, I'll see you tomorrow at noon." David? William frowned. It was a name he'd never heard Olivia mention. An uneasy feeling rose in William's mind, but he quickly pushed the thought away. Maybe it was just a work colleague, he reassured himself. However, this man, David, was like a thorn in William's heart. He began to watch Olivia's every move, hoping to find something. He noticed that Olivia had been smiling at her cell phone a lot lately, sometimes sending secret text messages. She always locks her screen quickly and looks flustered when William approaches. William's suspicions are growing. He begins to wonder if Olivia is cheating on him. The thought pained him, but he couldn't dislodge it. He needs evidence. He needs the truth. On Saturday, Olivia told William she was going to an important work meeting. William nodded his head in agreement as if nothing had happened, but he quietly followed Olivia after she left. He saw Olivia walk into a cafe. Through the glass window, William saw a handsome young man stand up to greet Olivia. The man hugged Olivia affectionately. Then the two sat down and began to talk pleasantly. William felt a wave of vertigo. He saw a happy smile spread across Olivia's face, an expression he hadn't seen on her face in a long time. They had a good conversation, and there was a lot of laughter from time to time. William stood across the street, watching the scene, his heart in his mouth. He wanted to rush in and question Olivia, but reason told him now was not the time. William left in silence, holding back his grief and anger. When he got home, he sat on the couch and fell into a long silence. Over the next few days, William began systematically gathering evidence. He first scrutinized Olivia's phone records and found a large number of calls from the same number, mostly on weekdays during lunch breaks and late at night. William tried to call the number, but found it had been blacked out. William also noticed some suspicious charges on Olivia's credit card statements, dinners at fancy restaurants, expensive jewelry store purchases, and even a room charge at a fancy hotel. All of this spending occurred on days when Olivia claimed to be working overtime. Despite the mounting evidence, William knew it wasn't enough to confirm Olivia's infidelity. He needs more direct evidence. After much struggle, William finally decided to hire a private investigator. Through a friend's introduction, William contacted Mike, an experienced private investigator. On a dreary Wednesday afternoon, William meets Mike at a secluded cafe. "Mr. Hudson, I understand your situation," Mike said, his voice low and professional, "and I'll do everything I can to help you get to the bottom of it. But I must warn you that the truth may hurt you." William smiled bitterly. "I understand, Mike, but not knowing the truth is what hurts the most." Mike nodded and began to ask Olivia in detail about her daily schedule, where she worked, and other information. William answered in as much detail as he could, and also provided Olivia's picture and the suspicious phone number. "I'll start the investigation immediately," Mike said, "and I'll keep you posted on a daily basis. Be prepared for this to take some time." For the next 2 weeks, William's days were like years. He spends his days anxiously waiting to hear from Mike, all the while pretending that nothing is wrong with Olivia. Whenever Olivia said she had to work late or attend a book club, William had to hold back from questioning her. Finally, on the 16th day, Mike brought in the decisive evidence. "Mr. Hudson, we tracked your wife and the man," Mike said, a hint of sympathy in his voice, "and we have photographic and video evidence." William took a deep breath and forced himself to remain calm. "Show me." Mike opens his laptop and starts playing a video. The footage shows Olivia and a handsome young man walking into a fancy hotel. They cuddled together, smiling broadly. It wasn't long before the two left the hotel together again. "This was last Tuesday afternoon, when your wife claimed to be attending an important meeting," Mike explained, "and we also got pictures of them on a date at a restaurant and walking in the park." Mike handed William a stack of photos. William looked through them one by one, each one like a sharp knife, poking him in the heart. There are photos of Olivia and the man having dinner at a fancy restaurant, clinking glasses with love in their eyes. There were pictures of them snuggling on a park bench, Olivia's head resting on the man's shoulder, her eyes happily closed. "Who was that man?" William asked with difficulty. "According to our research, his name is David Thompson, a freelance writer 6 years younger than your wife. They've known each other for about 6 months, having first met at a literary salon." William feels like his world is falling apart. He recalled that 6 months ago, Olivia had suddenly developed a keen interest in attending various literary events. "So, this is where it all started." "There's more evidence," Mike continued. William shook his head, signaling that he didn't want to read the information. "He's seen enough." "Thank you, Mike," William said, his voice husky. "You did a great job." Mike looked at William sympathetically. "I'm sorry, Mr. Hudson. If you need this evidence for legal proceedings, I'm ready to provide it." William nodded and paid off the detective. When he walked out of the cafe, he felt like he had aged 10 years. The sky was drizzling, but William was oblivious, letting the cold rain hit his face. Back home, William sits in his study and stares longingly at the wedding picture on the wall. They look so happy and in love in the photo. But now, the smiling woman, the one he would have given anything for, had destroyed their marriage. William's heart is filled with conflicting emotions. Anger, sadness, disappointment, resignation. All sorts of emotions churned in his chest. He wanted to question Olivia, wanted to know why she was doing this to him. But at the same time, he felt a deep sense of exhaustion. He realizes that no matter how Olivia explains it, their marriage is beyond repair. After days of agonizing pain, William made a difficult decision: divorce. He could not stand the deception, nor was he willing to continue living a lie. He contacted his best friend, James, the university librarian, and asked him to help deliver the divorce papers to Olivia. James was too shocked to speak when he heard William's request. "Are you sure, William?" asked James. "You've been together for so many years." William nodded bitterly. "I'm quite sure, James, that I can't forgive her for her betrayal." James sighed and patted William's shoulder. "I understand. What do you need me to do?" William handed James a thick envelope. "These are divorce papers. I want you to give them to Olivia for me. I don't have the courage to face her right now." James took the envelope and nodded solemnly. "I will, William. You take care." Looking at James' back, William felt a sense of relief, but at the same time, a little bit of fear. He knew that from this moment on, his life would turn over a new leaf. The road ahead was uncertain, but at least he wouldn't have to live in a world of lies and deceit. William sat in his study, looking out the window at the night and thinking. He thought about how he had met and fallen in love with Olivia, about their wedding, and about every joyful moment they had shared. These memories, once so sweet, have become bitter. He doesn't know when Olivia started to change her mind, or if there's anything he's not doing well enough. But he knew that no matter what, betrayal was unforgivable. William sighed deeply, stood up, and walked to the bedroom. He began to pack his belongings and prepare to move out of the home full of memories. Tomorrow, when Olivia receives her divorce papers, the dust will settle. William, on the other hand, will be embarking on a new journey. Although the road ahead is difficult, he believes that one day he will find happiness again. It's a cool fall day in Boston. As maple leaves colored the Harvard campus, Olivia Hudson stepped through the thick fall of leaves and hurried toward the College of Arts and Letters office building. It was Friday, and she planned to spend a romantic weekend with David after taking care of the task at hand. However, fate dealt her a blow on this day. As Olivia pushed open the door to her office, her coworker Jane handed her a thick craft envelope. Someone delivered it earlier, said it was a very important document. Jane said, with a hint of curiosity on her face. Olivia took the envelope, a sudden pang of unease welling up inside her. She recognized it as an envelope commonly used for legal documents. With trepidation, she opened the envelope, and when she saw what was inside, she felt her world instantly crumble. Indictment for divorce. William is divorcing her. Olivia's hands couldn't stop shaking, and she could barely hold the sheets of paper steady. She quickly skimmed the contents of the document, each word like a sharp knife, poking hard into her heart. William not only asked for a divorce, but also cited evidence of her infidelity, including photos and videos taken by a private investigator. "No, no way," Olivia muttered, her face as pale as paper. She'd always thought she'd hidden it well, not realizing that William had already figured it all out. Jane noticed Olivia's abnormality and asked with concern, "Olivia, are you okay? Did something happen?" Olivia barely managed to squeeze out a smile. "It's fine, just some family stuff." "Jane, I'm a little sick today. I might have to go home early." Jane nodded, still a little puzzled but not asking any more questions. Olivia gathers her things and stumbles out of the office. Her mind was in turmoil, not knowing how to deal with this sudden turn of events. Walking out of the office building, the cool autumn breeze blew in Olivia's face, and she realized her cheeks had long been wet with tears. She took out her cell phone and shakily dialed William's number. However, all that came from the other end of the line was a cold voicemail tone. Olivia dialed David's number again. The call was quickly answered. "Honey, what's wrong?" David's soft voice came from the other end of the line. Olivia choked back a sob. "David, William knows. He's going to divorce me." There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds. When David spoke again, his tone became noticeably colder. "Olivia, we're just having fun with each other. You're not taking this seriously, are you?" Olivia felt her heart hit hard. What did you say?" David sighed. "Look, Olivia, we had a good time, but I never wanted it to develop into anything serious. You might as well go deal with your family issues." With that said, David hung up, leaving Olivia standing alone in the cold wind, tears falling like rain. She then realizes that not only has she lost her husband, but even her lover, who she always thought would give her happiness, is just toying with her feelings. Olivia feels more alone and desperate than ever. Returning home, Olivia realizes that William has removed most of her personal belongings. The once cozy home seems empty at the moment. She sat paralyzed on the couch, thinking back over everything that had happened in the past few months. She recalled how William had tried time and time again to repair their relationship, and she had always used the excuse of being busy at work to put it off. She remembered the disappointed look in William's eyes, which at the time she'd thought was just plain old spousal conflict, and now realized it was a harbinger of the end of the marriage. Olivia picks up the wedding photo on the table, tears blurring her vision. She and William are so happy and in love in the photo. Exactly when did she start ignoring her husband's feelings and indulging in an affair with David? Throughout the weekend, Olivia tried to contact William, but he never responded. It wasn't until Sunday night that William finally texted back, "We have nothing more to say. Let's just follow the legal process for everything." Seeing the cold message, Olivia breaks down. She fell to her knees and bawled. She regrets her stupidity, the fact that she hurt her loving husband, and the fact that she ruined the hard-won marriage. However, regrets will not help anymore. The next morning, Olivia goes to work with puffy eyes. She braced herself for work, but her mind was completely off. Until the afternoon, when she got a call from William. "We need to talk." William's voice was calm and detached. Olivia's heart races. Okay. Where do you want to meet?" "It'll be at the house. I'll be there at 5. With that, William hung up. Olivia arrives home early and anxiously awaits William's arrival. When the doorbell rang, she practically jumped up to answer it. William stood in the doorway, his eyes cold, his face unreadable. Olivia tries to hug him, but William steps back and avoids her touch. "William, can we?" Olivia choked out. William interrupted her. "Olivia, there is nothing more to say between us. I came to tell you that I have gathered enough evidence. If you want decency, sign the divorce quietly. Otherwise, I don't mind publicizing the evidence of your cheating." Olivia felt a wave of dizziness. "William, please forgive me. I know it was wrong. Can we start over?" William sneered. "Starting over? Olivia, you betrayed me. You betrayed our marriage. Do you think you can apologize and say something nice and pretend nothing happened?" I didn't mean to. It was David." Olivia tried to explain. "Enough." William suddenly raised his voice. "Don't ever mention that man's name again. You know, Olivia, what hurts me the most isn't that you cheated on him. It's that you gave him the tenderness and intimacy I've longed for. Those things that I've sought so hard but couldn't get, you gave to a stranger without hesitation." Olivia is shocked by William's words. She then realized how much she had neglected her husband's feelings. William continued, "I saw the way you were close in the park, saw the happy look on your face as you leaned on his shoulder. Olivia, that used to belong to me. Do you remember the last time we took a walk together? Do you remember the last time you smiled at me like that?" Olivia was speechless. Tears slid uncontrollably down her face. William took a deep breath and calmed down. "I don't hate you, Olivia. I'm just disappointed in you and our marriage. Maybe we shouldn't have been together from the beginning." With that said, William turned and left, leaving Olivia standing alone in the center of the living room with tears streaming down her face. This is the moment when Olivia finally realizes that her marriage is beyond repair. She not only lost her husband's love, but also his trust and respect. And she caused all of this with her own hands. In the days that followed, Olivia fell into a deep state of self-blame and remorse. She began to look back at what she had done and think about what had led to the breakdown of her marriage. She realizes that it was not just the act of cheating itself, but her long history of neglect and coldness towards William that was the root cause of the marriage coming to an end. However, these realizations came too late. William has made up his mind to end the marriage, and Olivia has no choice but to accept reality. The cold wind whistled by, as if screaming the anger in William Hudson's heart. He stood at the window of the Harvard University Library, gazing out at the world with an icy gaze. Divorce proceedings have begun, but that's not enough. Whenever William closes his eyes, images of Olivia and the man named David in close proximity come to mind. The images were like sharp knives, stabbing him over and over again. "Damn you, Olivia," William cursed under his breath, his fists clenching involuntarily. "You took everything from me, and I'm going to make you pay." Just then, his good friend James, the librarian, approached him. "Hey, William, are you okay?" James asked with concern in his eyes. William turned and managed to smile, but his eyes were still cold. "I'm fine, James. In fact, I've never felt better." James frowned, as if sensing something. "William, I know you're in a lot of pain right now, but—" "Pain?" William interrupted James with a sneer. "No, James, I'm past the pain stage. Right now, all I feel is anger. That woman who betrayed me, she ruined my life, and I'm going to make her feel the same way." James was taken aback by the hatred in William's eyes. "William, calm down. Revenge won't solve the problem." "Enough!" William snapped. "Unless you can help me, don't say such useless things." James sighed and said helplessly, "Well, how can I help?" William's eyes flashed with a hint of cunning. "I hear the law school is looking for a part-time lecturer to teach a course on legal ethics. Can you make an introduction for me?" James nodded. "No problem, I'll get in touch with them." When James left, William's mouth curled into a sneer. Legal ethics? How ironic. He's going to use this opportunity to destroy Olivia in the most legal way possible. In the days that followed, William devoted himself to his plan of revenge. Using his connections at the law school, he quickly secured the position as a part-time lecturer. But that was only the first step in his plan. William began to carefully recall the details of Olivia's work and life. He knew that Olivia worked for a prestigious law firm and handled cases for high-profile clients. If he can start with that, after much deliberation, William decided to contact Eric Thompson, a partner in Olivia's law firm. Eric was William's senior in law school, and the two have always had a good relationship. On a cold Friday night, William asked Eric to meet him at an upscale bar. "It's been a long time, William," greeted Eric warmly. "I hear you've been—" William's eyes instantly became somber. "Yes, divorcing. The woman who betrayed me, she will regret it." Eric was taken aback by the hatred in William's tone. "William, are you okay? Can I help you?" William sneered. "I'm fine, Eric. In fact, I came to you for help." He began his presentation by skillfully steering the conversation toward law firm ethics and client trust. Instead of mentioning Olivia's name directly, William implied that someone was taking advantage of their position to leak customer information and even using it for personal gain. Eric's expression became serious. "That's a very serious accusation, William. Do you have any proof?" William shook his head. "I can't be too specific, but I would suggest you keep an eye on Olivia Hudson's work. I've heard that she's recently been involved with some, not so appropriate people getting close." Eric frowned. "Olivia, I always thought she was one of our most reliable employees." William pretended to be sympathetic. "People are unpredictable, Eric. Sometimes, those who seem the most reliable are the ones who betray the most." Eric nodded thoughtfully. "I see. Thanks for telling me this, William, that I'll keep a close eye on it." After leaving the bar, William felt a thrill of revenge. He knew that, given Eric's personality, he would be keeping a close eye on Olivia. Even if nothing substantial is found, the feeling of being suspected and watched is enough to make Olivia suffer at work. But that's not enough. William is going to make sure Olivia loses everything, just like she took everything from him. Over the next few days, William began dropping vague hints to Olivia's clients that Olivia might no longer be fit to handle their cases. He used his contacts in the legal profession to skillfully manipulate public opinion. Soon, Olivia lost several important clients. At the same time, William also anonymously spoke to the media, suggesting that Olivia had serious ethical issues when handling certain cases. Although none of these allegations were substantiated, they were sufficient to cause a stir in the legal community. Olivia's life begins to fall apart quickly. At work, she felt isolated, with important cases being assigned to other colleagues one after another. Eric looked at her with suspicion and distrust in his eyes. Not only that, but her social circle is rapidly shrinking. Her former friends began to distance themselves from her, and some even told her outright that they no longer wanted to associate with a betrayer. William watched all this with a twisted sense of pleasure. He's going to give Olivia a taste of what it's like to be betrayed and abandoned. He's going to make her realize that there's a price to pay for betrayal. However, as the revenge progressed, William realized that the emptiness inside him did not diminish, but rather grew stronger. Every night, as he lay alone in his bed, the pain of betrayal was still with him. For a moment, William even wanted to stop it. But every time that thought comes up, he forces himself to recall images of Olivia cheating on him. The pain and anger of betrayal would return to his heart, dispelling all hesitation and reluctance. "No, I can't be soft," William said to himself. "She has to pay for her behavior. I'm going to make her lose everything, just like she made me lose everything." And so, William's revenge continues. He would make sure that Olivia tasted the bitter fruit of betrayal until she, like him, lost all hope and joy. In William's eyes, it's not revenge, it's justice. An eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth is fair. In an apartment building near Harvard University, Emily Hudson sits in front of the window, staring blankly out at the world. Clutched in her hand is a letter from her father, William, whose handwriting on the paper reveals the anger and anguish within the letter writer. "Dear Emily," the letter reads, "by the time you read this, my marriage to your mother and I may be over. I know this news must be very hard for you to accept, but I hope you understand that sometimes love can make people lose their minds and suffer unimaginable harm." Emily's tears flowed uncontrollably. She recalled the weird atmosphere between her parents when she came home last month. At the time, she thought it was just an ordinary couple's conflict, but she didn't realize that it had turned into an irreparable situation. Just then, Emily's brother Alex pushed his way in. Confusion and anger were written all over his face. "Emily, did you see Dad's letter? What the hell is going on here?" Emily took a deep breath and tried to calm herself. "Yes, I saw it. Dad said he and Mom are getting a divorce." Alex took a step back in shock, as if he'd been punched hard. "What? It can't be. They're obviously so in love. How could they?" Emily laughed bitterly. "Grace? Alex, how long has it been since you've been home? The last time I went back, I noticed a strange atmosphere between them. I just didn't realize things would turn out like this." Alex was silent for a moment, then suddenly grabbed the car keys on the table. "I'm going back. I'm going to ask what the hell happened." Emily stopped him in a hurry. "Calm down, Alex. Impulsiveness won't solve anything now. Let's call Mom first and see what she says." However, no matter how much they called Olivia's phone, there was never an answer. It wasn't until the evening that they received a brief text message. "I'm sorry, kids. Mommy needs some time alone right now. I love you guys." Instead of calming Emily and Alex, the message adds to their worry and confusion. The next morning, Emily and Alex drove back to their parents' house. However, what awaited them was an empty house. Most of William's personal belongings are gone, and Olivia appears to have packed up some clothes and left. Standing in the center of the living room, Emily felt a strong sense of unreality. The family photo was still hanging there on the wall, and everyone in the photo was smiling so brightly. Who would have thought that in just a few short months, this seemingly happy and fulfilling family would fall apart? Alex sits helplessly on the couch and mumbles, "Why? Why did it come to this?" Emily walked over to her brother and hugged him gently. "I don't know, Alex. But no matter what happens, we have to be strong. We still have each other." Just then, Emily's cell phone rang. "It's William calling." "Dad!" Emily's voice trembled a little. "Emily, you and Alex at home?" William's voice sounded tired. "Yes, we are." "Dad, what's going on? Why are you and Mom getting a divorce?" There was silence on the other end of the line for a few moments. Then William sighed. "It's a long story, Emily. Simply put, your mother betrayed me and our family." Emily felt a wave of dizziness. "What? Mom? Cheated?" "Yes." William's voice was filled with pain and anger, with a man several years younger than her. "I saw them together with my own eyes." Emily didn't know how to respond. She had always thought of her mother as a gentle and kind person, How could she have done such a thing? William continued, I know this is hard for you to accept, but children, I want you to understand that sometimes love can be so cruel. Your mother chose betrayal, and I chose to leave. Emily looked over at Alex, who was still deep in thought, and asked softly, So, what do we do now? You will stay with your mother for now. I've found a new place to live. When things calm down, we'll talk about it. William finished and added, Remember, no matter what happens, I will always love you. After hanging up the phone, Emily relayed her father's words to Alex. The siblings fell into a long silence, each lost in their own thoughts. Over the next few days, Emily and Alex struggled to adjust to their new lives. Olivia eventually returns home, but she becomes silent and is restless all day. Whenever the children tried to ask what had happened, she was always vague and sometimes even burst into tears. William, on the other hand, has moved out of his old house altogether and into an apartment near the university. He called or texted the kids often, but always avoided talking about Olivia. Emily and Alex are sandwiched between their parents, feeling more stressed and confused than ever. They try to persuade their parents to get back together, but every attempt ends in failure. One day, Emily worked up the courage to ask Olivia directly, Mom, did you really cheat on Dad? Olivia's eyes flashed with pain before she lowered her head and said, Emily, it's not as simple as you think. I made a big mistake. I hurt your father, and I hurt this family. I will never forgive myself. Watching her mother in pain, Emily felt both heartbroken and disappointed. She wanted to understand her mother, but couldn't accept her behavior. Meanwhile, Alex begins to become rebellious. He started skipping classes and sometimes staying out all night. Emily made several attempts to communicate with her brother, but Alex always said nothing and locked himself in his room. One night, Emily hears the sound of something being dropped from Alex's room. She rushed in and saw her brother sitting in the mess and crying. Why? Alex sobbed. Why do they have to be like this? Aren't we a happy family? Emily hugged her brother tightly and couldn't stop the tears. I don't know, Alex. I really don't know. But we have to be strong. We have each other, don't we? Thus, the once happy Hudson family is torn apart by a betrayal and the revenge that follows. William and Olivia's marriage comes to an end, and their children, in turn, have to struggle to find their way through the storm. Emily would often stand in front of the window, looking out at the world and pondering the meaning of love, marriage, and family. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew that this once warm home had changed forever. In this family tragedy, everyone is a victim and a victimizer. William's anger and revenge, Olivia's betrayal and remorse, Emily's helplessness and confusion, Alex's rebellion and pain. All these emotions intertwine to weave a heartbreaking picture. And that, in a nutshell, is the harsh reality of what happens when love is gone. Spring has finally arrived in Boston. The cherry blossoms on the Harvard campus are in full bloom. Yet the beautiful sight cannot heal the wounds inside Alex Hudson. He stood in front of his dormitory window, clutching a photo of him and his girlfriend Sarah in a sweet embrace. I'm sorry, Sarah, Alex mumbled. I think we'd better break up. Just yesterday, Alex witnessed her father, William, talking intimately with a young woman on campus. In that moment, it was as if he saw a shadow of when his mother Olivia betrayed his father. The image was like a sharp knife, poking Alex hard in the heart, awakening his deepest fear and distrust of love. Alex shakily picked up his cell phone and dialed Sarah's number. Alex felt a gripping pain as Sarah's pleasant voice came through. Sarah, we need to talk. Alex's voice was low and husky. I think we should break up. There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds before Sarah's confused and hurt voice came through. Alex, what happened? Haven't we always been good? Alex took a deep breath and tried to control his emotions. Sarah, I just think we might not be right for each other. I don't want to end up hurting you. Is it because of what happened to your parents? Sarah sensed something keenly. Alex, we're not them. We can make our own future. Alex laughed bitterly. You don't understand, Sarah. When you see firsthand the person you trust the most betray you, you realize how fragile love can be. I don't want us to be like that one day. Despite Sarah's best efforts to stay, Alex stood by his decision. After hanging up, he sat paralyzed on his bed, tears streaming down his face uncontrollably. He knew he might have made a bad decision, but the fear and unease within him could not be removed. Meanwhile, Emily is in her office preparing for an important upcoming meeting. Ever since her parents divorced, she's been working full-time, trying to numb her emotions with her busyness. However, it was then that she received an unexpected phone call. "Emily," came William's somewhat hesitant voice on the other end of the line. "Do you have a moment?" I'd like to talk to you." Emily froze for a moment, then replied, "Sure, Dad." "Did something happen?" William was silent for a moment, then said slowly, "I wanted to tell you that I might be marrying Carol." Emily felt her heart skip a beat. Carol is a co-worker of William's, almost 20 years younger than him. While Emily knew her father had been dating Carol recently, she didn't expect things to move so quickly. Isn't this too soon?" Emily struggled to control her emotions. "Dad, are you sure?" William sighed. "Emily, I know this may be hard for you guys to accept, but Carol has given me new hope. I don't want to be haunted by the past anymore." Emily felt a wave of mixed emotions rush over her. She was happy for her father to find happiness again, but at the same time worried if the decision was too hasty. More importantly, she didn't know how to explain this to Alex and her mother. After hanging up, Emily immediately called Alex. However, when she hears the news that her brother has just broken up with Sarah, she feels even more depressed and powerless. "Alex, you can't give up on your happiness just because of your parents," Emily advised. "Sarah is a good girl, and you're happy together, aren't you?" Alex's voice sounded tired. "Emily, you don't understand. Every time I look at Sarah, I think of how Mom betrayed Dad. I don't want to be like that one day." Emily was silent. She suddenly realizes that her parents' divorce has hurt Alex more than she thought. Meanwhile, Olivia is sitting at home alone, looking through old photo albums. In the photo, she and William are as in love as ever, and the kids are smiling so brightly. Now, however, that is all in the past. Olivia's fingers brushed over William's picture, tears welling up in her eyes. She regrets her impulsiveness and betrayal. But more than that, she regrets that she hurt the person she loves the most. Just then, Olivia's cell phone rings. It's her lawyer. "Mrs. Hudson," came the lawyer's voice. "I've just received word that Mr. Hudson has filed a new divorce settlement. He has agreed to an equal division of property on the condition that you must publicly admit your infidelity." Olivia felt her heart clench hard. She knew that this was William's final blow. He wants her to admit her mistake in public and completely ruin her reputation. However, to Olivia's surprise, as she was about to reject the offer, William's next words came. "In addition," the attorney continued, "Mr. Hudson has said that if you agree to this condition, he will drop all previous charges against you, including those regarding the disclosure of client information." Olivia froze. She understood that this was William giving her a chance to redeem herself. Though the cost was her dignity and reputation, it might be the only way she could salvage something. When the divorce papers were officially signed a few days later, the entire Boston legal community was shocked. Olivia Hudson, the once respected lawyer, has publicly admitted her infidelity. Although the decision cost her a lot, she knew that it was the price she should pay. William stands outside the courthouse, watching Olivia's hurriedly departing back. His heart was filled with conflicting emotions. On the one hand, he felt a slight pleasure in his victory. On the other hand, he was deeply saddened by the complete end of this once beautiful marriage. Just then, Emily and Alex walked up to William. "Dad," Emily whispered, "can we talk? About you and Carol." William looks at his children and suddenly realizes that the divorce has not only affected him and Olivia, but has deeply hurt their children. "Sure," William nodded. "Let's get together for a cup of coffee." As the three sit in the cafe, William truly understands the damage the storm has done to the children. Alex's romance falls apart, Emily's job suffers, and their views on love and marriage change completely. William sighed deeply. "Boys, I'm so sorry. What happened with your mother and I has caused you so much hurt." Emily held her father's hand. "Dad, we understand how you feel. But Have you really thought this through? About Carol. William was silent for a moment, then said slowly, maybe you guys are right. I may need more time to think, not only for myself, but for all of you. Alex looked up, tears glistening in her eyes. Dad, can you do me a favor? I want to make up with Sarah, but I don't know how. William looked at his son, and a pang of guilt and pity welled up in his heart. He realizes that his actions have not only hurt Olivia, but also indirectly hurt his own children. Alex, William said softly, love does bring harm, but it can also bring unparalleled happiness. Don't give up your happiness because of our mistakes. Go to Sarah and tell her how you really feel. And so it was that on an ordinary afternoon in Boston, 3 members of the Hudson family sat in a cafe and began an honest conversation. They talk about past hurts, present confusion, and hopes for the future. Though the family had been torn apart, in this moment they found a new kind of connection. They understand that despite the scars, as long as there is love, there is still hope. Later that night, Alex worked up the courage to call Sarah, sincerely apologizing and expressing his true feelings. Emily decides to slow down her work and give herself some time to heal her inner wounds. William, on the other hand, begins to rethink his relationship with Carol. As for Olivia, despite the loss, she decides to start over. She quit her job as an attorney and started doing some volunteer work, hoping to redeem herself by helping others. This once happy family is no longer whole, but everyone is trying to rebuild their lives from the ashes. They understand that life is like a mirror and that our actions and choices will eventually echo back to us in some way. And that perhaps is the eternal theme of love, betrayal, and reconciliation. In the long river of life, they intertwine into a complex and moving song of life that echoes in everyone's heart. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.